Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Wednesday, October the 17th. Ron Rowe is with us. You're making your first appearance with us. Good to have you here, Ron.
Good to be here, Paul. Thanks so much.
And you are with the Youth Community Coalition. What is that?
Yes. So the Youth Community Coalition is a network of all your youth-serving organizations here in the area. And we come together to basically help make the community the best place it can be for kids to make positive decisions and avoid risky ones. That's the nutshell of it.
Yeah. And you said you're an organization which involves all of the youth-serving organizations?
If they're not active, they are connected.
Okay, what are some of them that you're talking about?
So you could, I hate to, I'll leave one out.
No,
but
that's
think
okay.
about,
just name some of them.
Think about Big Brothers Big Sisters. Think about Columbia Public Schools. Think about all your after-school programs, the city programs. I work with the Youth Advisory Council here in the city, and any number of others. Treatment providers, law enforcement. All really, if you think about all the organizations or agencies in a community that interact with youth and their families, they are connected in our coalition in one way or the other.
I was telling you, I think I was very fortunate when I was growing up. I guess I lived in a protected environment because I grew up out in the country. My family gave me chores that I had to do every day. It's not that way now with a lot to is it?
Kids have a lot of choices and a lot of potentially risky choices.
Yeah, they have much more available to them to take them off the straight and narrow path than I did when I was growing up.
And on that note, I want to ask you may know this statistic, but do you know what percentage of substance use addictions start before the age of 21, Paul?
My initial guess was around 50% or so, but I bet you that's wrong.
Many people have that misconception. It's actually 95%.
You're saying 95% of addiction starts before 21 years of age.
That's correct, and I get a wave over me when I think about how that's a very sad stat.
Yeah.
And if I could ask you another question, is where do you think those youth get those substances?
Well,
to guess.
They probably get it at home.
And where else?
At
the end of the day, think about this. It's always adults that provide the substances.
Right. But when I say they're getting it at home, it's because as adults, we have wine and beer at home, and the kids have access to that. That doesn't mean that the parents want them to have it, but they do have access to it.
Access is the mother of substance use. You may have heard, Heather Harlan, I think, is a friend of the show. I've learned that and taken that to heart from her. What we see is if kids have access to any of these substances, and alcohol and tobacco in particular, then they will be much more likely to use. And going back to that point, at some point, way, shape, form, or fashion, adults are the ones supplying those. And so one of many things we do with Youth Community Coalition, trying to change the environment where these decisions are made, is to make that environment a little better for that. And one ways we do that is to work on access. And that's one of the things I wanted to tell you about today is the U Card We Care program that our group has started. And it's basically a positive reinforcement campaign for our cashiers and servers of alcohol and tobacco. And anytime one of our members that is participating sees, a lot of times it's a cashier, ID for alcohol or tobacco, we thank them and we say thank you for keeping that substance out of the hands of youth. Again, if kids have access, they use. And this is just a small way, but a very important way that we can reduce access. And this program is something, we have the card. I think that you've shown it on the TV.
We had it on the screen there. So what you're saying is, if you're standing in line at the grocery store,
yes,
and the person ahead of you is carded trying to buy wine or beer, you should thank that cashier for taking the time to verify that they are of age.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be someone who wasn't authorized to it, someone who does have ID. I don't get ID'd. I don't know about you anymore.
No,
so
I don't get ID'd
unfortunately, it's always someone in front of me. But to tell you a funny story, at my grocery store where I go quite often, they see me coming now and they know it. And I think they card for eggs now when they see me coming because they know I'm going to give them a card no matter what. So, but what we really want, if we had a critical mass of the community, there's a ton of adults out there that wonder, what can I do? What can I do about youth substance use? This is one thing. It's hard to in a couple minutes explain how important access is, but if you can reduce access, that's just one little more piece of the puzzle.
Right.
And community members can do this.
We were talking about, and it makes sense what you said, that 90% of people who are addicted at a very early age, because the brain, we were talking about this with Joy Sweeney, the brain is still forming.
Yes.
And if you start on alcohol or drugs, you're rewiring the brain at a very early age. Correct?
There's two, my understanding, I'm not a neuroscientist, but my understanding, there's two tragic things there. Yes, the physical wirings of the brain, if you look at it that way, are changing and getting wired to use substances to feel good, basically. The other side of that is before you're 24, so women before men, we take 25 till we have this frontal lobe formed so that we can make decisions about the future for ourselves. That's even more tragic to me, is that you have 14, 15, 16-year-old kids who are making decisions. They're still not really understanding what this could lead to or have for the rest of their lives. They don't even have that facility yet, and yet they're getting hooked on substances that, even if it's just, we hear this a lot. People say it's just alcohol or tobacco. It's like, well, those are some of the most dangerous in some sense for kids.
And it really has to start at home too, where the parents have oversight on what the kids are doing, making sure that no, it's not okay to have a sip of wine there. Because at an early age, you're just not ready for it.
What we learn in our trainings, yes, that's tragic. Well-meaning parents, they feel like they're doing the right thing. They're trying to keep their kids safe, but there's just no safe amount of tobacco or nicotine in particular, and then alcohol for these kids whose brains are forming. And I've been there in these trainings with parents that once they realize that they're not doing is not helping them, they really get they get kind of upset about that.
Right. So if people want to be a part of this, what can they do?
They can receive the cards at the Public Health Department on Worley. They can go to the Family Access Center of Excellence in the United Way building. They can come to us, or they can go to our website, yc2.org.
Okay, you got it. There's no reason why they can't get these little cards and hand them out if they want. Okay, we're out of time for today. Tomorrow, author Olin Brown will be with us. Something you'd like to hear or see? Drop me an email, pepperp@missouri.edu. Have yourself a nice day. Bye-bye.